first interview with my friend Tracie, who is a genius. I've been working with her for a while, and she's also a dear friend of mine. Tracie does some really amazing things, and today we're going to talk about those things, and we're going to start with EMDR.
So, EMDR is eye movement desensitization reprocessing therapy. I have to read it because I can never say it right.
It's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful. But basically what it is helping you to continue processing trauma or situations that you have been stuck in that have caused issues and symptoms that have come in with anxiety and depression, possible OCD, any kind of eating disorders are also triggered by unprocessed trauma.
Wow.
It's very simple and a very gentle way of helping a person process through these areas where they are stuck. And I have actually had it done to me, and this therapy has been very beneficial and helped me to move out of certain situations where I had been stuck for years. And it's very quick. Sometimes you don't necessarily feel so great right afterwards, but you move through that quite quickly. So, yeah.
So we had an EMDR session. Tracie gave me an EMDR session about 2 weeks ago, and I didn't know what to expect, but it was really powerful. It was very powerful, and I was able to process a lot of things that I hadn't considered previously. It just brought a lot of things up, and it was I liked that I didn't have to talk. I liked that it worked without me having to discuss what I was going through, and yet it was so effective and just kind of blew through some stuff and brought some stuff up. So, and it's so simple. That's the weird thing, is you would never think that you would get such profound results with something that is so simple and so easy to do, but it worked really well. I mean, just even the quality of dreams that I've had, and just kind of like those aha moments, those have really started to come through since our session. So I wanted to just kind of throw that in there because we did work together for that. So how did you learn about EMDR?
Well, I started working for a couple who are very gifted healers, and they were doing EMDR therapy, although I didn't know that's what it was. I was introduced to it when I started working for them. And then once I understood what it did, I actually asked if I could get a session for some issues where I was stuck. So, and I did, that was about 10 years ago or so, maybe a little longer, but yes. So I got to observe a lot of this and actually have the treatment done on myself. So yeah, about 10 years I'd say I've been aware of it, and just recently started to think more about doing it for other people, since it was so beneficial for me, and I've been hearing more and more about it, and it seems to be something that the government has taken an interest in, because there have been 11 studies regarding this particular type of treatment, and they've all been very positive.
Yeah, my experience was positive with it. I could see how it helps with anxiety and PTSD and things like that. It's very
effective.
Shocking. It's like, wow, that's so simple. But what is that about? Sometimes the simple answer is the best answer, and I feel like that applies to EMDR, which is exciting. So I got to learn something new and try something new that was just powerful. Let's see, what are the benefits of EMDR? So we talked about a little bit about some of the things that it can help with.
I can tell you basically what it does. When we sleep, is when we process. We do that during REM sleep, where our eye movement is back and forth. That is when we are processing our day, processing events, minutia from the day. And when we go through trauma, sometimes it disrupts our sleep. So we aren't able to fully process through an event or a trauma or situation effectively enough to be able to move past it. So what happens is we get stuck in it. EMDR, what it does is it essentially just puts you in a position where you are awake and going through the REM cycle. So it's very, very non-invasive. You don't have to talk. You just have to think about the event, how you feel, how your body feels, what's going on inside. You don't have to verbalize it. You just think about it. And then I do the eye movement, either tapping either side of the body somewhere, wherever you're comfortable, or I do the eye movement and you watch my hand. And as you go through that and you're thinking about the event, feeling through the event, it's like having one foot in the future and one in the past. So you're very safe. Since you don't have to talk about it. The person typically feels very comfortable because they can just sort of keep it in their mind. And as you process through this, I keep in touch with you, making sure that everything is staying on task. Sometimes as you process, you pull, your mind will sort of wander. And so what I suggest is for you to pull your mind back as often as possible until you can't pull it back anymore during the process. And that's when we start ending that, because you've processed enough for the day. And then you're done. It really doesn't take that long, and it's very non-invasive. It's a very natural thing our body does already in sleep.
It's like a body hack.
Yeah, it is. And so as you move through this natural process, you also are able to use your natural healing process, the natural processing that we go through, and you're just using it, you're just fixing any stuck spots. So it's really...
Yeah, because when we did it, I picked a childhood trauma, a memory that was traumatic for me from my childhood. And what kind of happened when we did the session is my adult brain got to process the child from, instead of it being a trauma that happened as a child, I got to pull it forward and look at it again as an adult and kind of rewire. It felt like I was just rewiring the way that I viewed that memory. And of course there was a amazing emotional release, which is always this cathartic after, but it felt like just bringing something forward and looking at it with new eyes, like the eyes of somebody who's been doing my work and who's an adult who's ready to see that in a new way. It was really I really enjoyed it. It's really good and so simple. I just can't get over that. It's just so easy to do, and that you don't have to talk about it. You're not like sorting through it or thinking about it where you're trying to logic your way through it. You're allowing your brain to do the work, and I'm amazed. I'm so excited you're doing it.
I just sort of walk you through what you're already doing. I just sort of guide you as you go through it. So
you're so good at that. Wow. Okay, so did we cover everything about EMDR?
I believe so. It's a pretty basic, pretty simple technique.
Okay, so Tracie and I met a long time ago, and she's actually been helping me with bringing balance back into my body, bringing my body back into harmony with her nutritional advice. And Tracie is so good at knowing what kind of questions to ask, and she's got just an intuitive sense about how the body works. And so you've been helping me for a long time. I'm pretty savvy with some stuff, but you just know, you're able to just zero in on those special little things that I maybe didn't consider or were off my radar. And it's just amazing how accurate you are when it comes to working through stuff, and you've helped me with a lot. So do you want to talk a little bit about some of the nutritional guidance that you do? Because you're a genius. And you're also, your recipe, you have health food recipes that just blow my mind. So not only do you do like, here's what you need to make you healthy, but you also know how to make it taste good and be interesting. So I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the nutritional aspect of what you do.
Well, what I essentially do is I meet with somebody, talk about what it is that they're wanting to accomplish, where they feel like maybe their areas are that they want to prioritize on. And then we take things very slowly, one step at a time, as we go as quickly as the person wants to go. I like to make small adjustments that bring the greatest results, the fastest, greatest results, and that don't traumatize the client and overwhelm them. So, like for instance, if I meet with somebody who really enjoys coffee, but they've overindulged and burned out their adrenal glands or something, and or can't sleep at night or something like that, and they're showing symptoms of somebody who has overindulged with caffeine stimulants. What I usually suggest for them is to cut back, not to eliminate.
Yeah,
and
I love that about
you. Cut back. Let's cut back on this, and maybe add some certain foods that will help keep them calm, or certain supplements that will start calming the nervous system down, calming the adrenals down a little bit, and maybe something that will help you get back into a natural sleep mode. So I try to work with people where and how they want, how fast they want to go. And I don't, speaking as someone who likes to indulge in fun things, I don't like to take all the fun things away because that's cruel. So I like to work with them in maybe making adjustments more than anything, so that they feel better and their quality of life improves without taking all the good stuff away. And then it's like, what's the point?
You're such a genius about that. You said something to me once and it stuck with me, and I still talk about it because it made me laugh and it really stuck. You asked me about broccoli. You're like, oh, that, you could eat some broccoli, that might help. And I went, ugh. And you went, don't do that to yourself. Let's find something else. And I loved that because it was, instead of being like, you should eat broccoli because it's good for you, which we all know, you're like, okay, never mind. Let's do this alternate route. Let's figure it out in a different way. And so it's like, working with you is so fun, and you're really getting to the bones of what somebody's unique. That's the other thing. We have these big prescriptions for what people need, and we'll just jump on this bandwagon, and that worked for me. But that it's everybody's individual body, the way where their body is at, and you're able to just pinpoint that. But you also make it not a struggle. You make it a very gentle process, a very enjoyable process. And if you don't want to eat broccoli, then you're like, let's find something else. We'll try something different. So that's stuck with me, and I still think about that.
I like to because all of this has been my own personal experience. Being overwhelmed, trying to struggle with what I think I should be doing instead of what I really want to do, and what I need to do sometimes are very different. But I like to find ways of getting what I need or getting what I want without hurting myself. So if I want cake with lemon and buttercream frosting, I will find a way to make it.
And it will still taste
And it
good.
will taste amazing, but it won't have wheat in it, and it won't have sugar in it, but it will taste amazing, and I'll get that need that I need to satisfied. So anyway,
Well, that's your genius. As long as I've known you, as you go, because when people hear health food, they think, it's gonna be dry and it's gonna be bland, and I'm gonna just have to suffer through it because I want to feel better. And you figured out how to make health food indulgent and delicious and wonderful and fit people's needs. And that's one of the reasons I love working with you. You're like, oh, look at what I've done.
Food. Well, I'm a foodie. I love food.
Yeah.
So I've had to. It's where one of my joys is food. Food, caffeine. I love coffee. It's more the flavor of the coffee, I guess, than the caffeine. But I really love coffee, and so I've had to learn if I'm going to drink it, I have to do it in a way that's not going to hurt me, because it used to trigger migraines for me. I didn't know it was what was triggering migraines since I was 17 that were debilitating. So I quit drinking coffee for some reason one day, and I noticed about 2 weeks later I hadn't had a migraine. So I had a very dear friend of mine who has become one of my best friends tell me for years it was the coffee I was drinking. It was being triggered by my stomach and blah, 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 and all that stuff. So I just wasn't ready to listen to her. And then when I figured it out on my own, I decided I want my coffee. I will have coffee because I love coffee, and it's the reason I get out of bed in the morning. So I learned that cold brew had the least amount of acid, which was the acid that was triggering my migraines. So I started drinking cold brew, and I rarely get a migraine now.
That's so amazing.
So I get my coffee and without the damage.
You are like the living example of getting your cake, having your cake, and getting to eat it too.
And I will. I definitely
That's
will.
what's awesome. So I think we've covered your specialties, and you are taking clients.
Yes.
So I can just include maybe some contact information at the bottom of the video that'll let people know how to reach you and that you're ready for them. And I'm so excited.
Well, thank you for
of course, it was fitting. All right. See you all next time.